So, I'm back at it again. I didn't think I was ever going to do this again, but I started writing a blog post on one of my favorite chapters, or really just books of the Bible, and as I started writing it, God was like, nope, Rachel, you don't need to write this, you need to speak this, and I was like, oh, great, I've already done this once, I never thought I was going to do this again, but here I am. So this is super random. I really don't know exactly what I'm gonna say, but I'm just gonna let the Holy Spirit lead me and see where we go with this. So also, just to go back really quick to my first YouTube video, it's probably below if you haven't watched it, so you should definitely go and check it out. But I just wanted to talk because people were saying, oh, like, you were so brave when you did that and stuff, and honestly, I was so scared. I was so nervous about what people were gonna think or what they were gonna say about it, because I was like, God, like, I'm not qualified for this. But the thing is, like, we're all like called and we're all chosen. So I just really think that we all just need to step out into boldness. But what's great about boldness is that God doesn't call us to step out into boldness alone. He calls us to step out in boldness and walk with him, and he'll lead us through it. So I just thought that was awesome. And then also, I just wanted to read you this quick thing I had written down. It kind of like came to my mind earlier, and I was like, oh, I should write this down. So anyways, I said, sure, I was so scared and fearful of what people would think, but I decided to look fear in the face. Sometimes to conquer our fear, we have to meet it. And I think that is just honestly so true. And so that's what I'm here doing right now. And what I did in my last video is trying to conquer my fear, because I feel like sometimes, like, I love to write, but I feel like sometimes I kind of use my writing and like I try to hide behind my computer screen instead of like genuinely stepping out into boldness and like speaking like verbally of like his truths and things like that, because I've just felt like he's been telling me for months that I need to step out and do something like this, but I've just kind of been ignoring it. So anyways, here I am. So let's go on to what I have for today. So we're going to be in the book of James. It's like my absolute like go-to favorite book of the Bible. It's really great. It's encouraging. I go to these verses I'm about to like kind of just explain like my thoughts on them quite frequently. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and just read straight from it, and then I'm going to go back and explain it later. So we're in James 1. I'm going to skip down and go ahead and go to verse 2. So it says, consider it great joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you experience various trials, because you know that the testing of your faith produces endurance, and let endurance have its full effect, so that you may be mature and complete and lacking in nothing. Now if any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives to all generously and ungrudgingly, and that it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith, without doubting, for the doubter is like the surging sea, driven and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord, being double-minded and unstable in all of his ways. Let the brother of humble circumstances boast in his exaltation, but let the rich boast in his humiliation, because he will pass away like a flower of the field. For the sun rises, and together with the scorching wind dries up the grass. Its flower falls off, and its beautiful appearance perishes. In the same way, the rich person will wither away while pursuing his activities. Blessed is the one who endures trials, because when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. Okay, so that altogether was James 1, 2 through 12. So anyways, I have like more stuff written in my second Bible, so I'm just gonna kind of like reference both of them and go back and forth. So my second Bible, actually, instead of using the word endurance, it uses the word steadfastness, so I'm gonna use that when talking. So it says, consider it great joy. Notice where right off the bat it says joy. It doesn't say happiness, because happiness is temporary, but joy is eternal and lasts forever. So it says, consider it great joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you experience various trials. So I feel like that first verse is just so prophetic, because it's literally saying like completely opposite of what the world tells us. So the world tells us when we're going through tribulations and trials, like we should be like, oh my gosh, God, why are we going through this? Like be mad at the world, be mad at the situation, the people, be angry, like walk in that. But like, no, like it literally says right here, consider it joy when you experience various trials. So we need to walk in joy even when we don't know what like why we're going through this certain situation. Just know God has your back, and like consider it joy. And then it will literally tells you right after, it says, because you know that the testing of your faith produces in steadfastness. So it's telling you that this trial or tribulation you're going through is testing of your faith, and it produces steadfastness. And the word steadfastness or steadfast actually means firm and unwavering. So it's telling us that we need to be consider it joy when you go through various trials, because it's producing unwavering and firm faith in God. It also says later in verse 4, it says, let endurance have its full effect, so that you may be mature and complete and lacking in nothing. So it's telling us to let this situation have its full effect on us. Like feel your emotions. Like I said in my last video, like God created emotions, so they're not like, it's not a bad thing to feel them, it's just a bad thing to walk in them. So it's telling us that we need to let them have its full effect on us, but just remember that you're walking in joy no matter what your circumstance is, because of God, and that because of this circumstance you're going through, you're going to be mature and complete, lacking in nothing through Jesus Christ. It says, now, if any of you lacks wisdom, which we all lack wisdom, we're not perfect. The only perfect person is Jesus and God. It says, we should ask God, so we should pray to God, who gives all to all generously and ungrudgingly, and it will be given to him. So it's telling us, like, yeah, like, you don't know everything, so when you're wondering why you're going through these circumstances, like, pray to God, like, ask him to reveal, like what this means, like what this season or this situation means, and it will be given to you. It says, but let him ask in faith without doubting, for the doubter is like the surging sea driven and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord, being double-minded and unstable in all of his ways. So basically, just like when you're asking to God, like, remain faithful, like truly believe in your heart that what you're going through, whatever situation is happening in that time period, like truly believe that, like, it is being all worked out for the glory of God and for his goodness. We're now in verse 9. It says, let the brother of humble circumstances boast in his exaltation, but let the rich boast in his humiliation, because he will pass away like the flowers of the field. For the sun rises, and together with the scorching wind dries up the grass, its flower falls, and its beautiful appearance perishes. In the same way, the rich person will wither away while pursuing his activities. Notice first off that it says his, so it doesn't say God's activities, it says his, so doing whatever you want. And I wrote, the rich man is rich in the world, not in God's riches. When you chase your pursuits rather than what God has for you, you will fade away. Stay focused on on God and pray for his pursuits for your life. So that just really goes back to this whole situation, like circumstance thing. So walk in joy, or let all of this, like your circumstance that you're going through, have its full effect on you. That way you can be mature and lacking in nothing, but remain faithful to God even when you're going through these circumstances. If you want to know what it's for, like, just ask God, like pray to him that he revealed to you what this is for, and what's the reason and the meaning behind the circumstances for. But make sure that when you're asking him, that you're remaining faithful to him, and just know that he is working everything out for the goodness of his glory. And lastly, I just want to read verse 12 where it says, blessed is the one who endures trials, because he has stood the test, and he will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. So I just think this is awesome, because after all of this, like talking about this situation, how you should act throughout this situation, and what you should pray throughout this situation, it says that at the end of this, you're going to be blessed because you endured the trial, and because you stood up to the test, and because of the test, it says that you will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. So, because it says earlier in verse 3, it says, because you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And then later on it says in verse 12, it says, because he stood that test. So I just wanted to encourage you guys with that. This is just like the whole book of James is just so encouraging and like really great for when you're going through things, or when you're not going through things, so you can prepare for them. But I just wanted to encourage you guys with that, and just let you know that like we all go through things. It literally tells us in the Bible that we are going to go through things, because it says in this verse, it says whenever you experience trials. It doesn't say when you possibly may or may not, like it says when you do. So just know that everyone goes through things, but everything has a reason, and God is working everything out, and he's preparing you for something much greater than this. Like things that I've gone through in the past or in high school, like I was so confused. I was like, why am I going through this? And now like later on down the road, I'm like, you know what, those situations that I was in that I thought were terrible, and I was wondering and questioning God on why I was going through those things were preparing me for what I'm going through now. And so I just think it's super awesome how God just works everything out for the goodness of his glory, and he's just preparing you every single day for what is to come. So I just wanted to encourage you guys with that. Thank you again for watching this, and I'm praying for you guys. Bye.